Oh, I'm feeling ambitious today. So we're going to give you some good information. We got the legend here, and I've got a board that goes from 109, which we will not need. Hey, easy. Oh, I know we got a lot of metal in there. All the way to 1. And we're going to study the target IDs of the Nokta Legend. Basically, we ring it up and we put it on that board and show you some good stuff and more good stuff. And we show you the less than exciting stuff too, but keep it concise. But I'm telling you, you stick around, you are going to learn a lot. Why is it important to understand target ID on a metal detector? The more that you know about the tendencies of the objects that you pull from the ground, the more that you can infer. You can watch this video, and this video is absolutely free, or you could download the PDF resource that I am making for you that is downloadable from my website. The link is in the video description. The cost is $10. $10, that's the equivalent of a double bacon quarter pounder with cheese meal at McDonald's. But the difference is I'm going to provide you with great metal detecting calories. In addition to this video, it gives you everything that you could possibly need to fully understand the target ID. It consolidates everything from this massive video into a book that is easier to skim and understand. All of the target IDs will be in one place for each one of the target ID numbers. So if you're interested, just click the link in the video description and it will take you to my website, iratemetaldetectors.com, where you can purchase this resource. Merrill is not doing this project alone, though.
What we're doing here today, we're ringing up all the junk that my dad has found metal detecting for a while.
It's not junk, it's treasure.
And we're making sales on them.
Very thankful for my business partners.
Each sale, me and my sister gets $1 per sale. So go to iratemetaldetectors.com and buy a packet from us today.
Go to that website, or I will put my finger on this bug and I will get poisoned.
There's a bug?
Yeah, it's a bug.
Oh, snap. Do we test the ring up on the bug? Apparently it's 31.
No, I'm gonna get poisoned. I feel the creeps.
I'll take care of it. Are there important points to consider specifically for understanding the target ID of the Nokta Makro Legend? Speaking of my website, iratemetaldetectors.com, I want you to see this about the target ID. The target ID is unreliable. Depth and interference skew the quality of the target ID on any detector, but it's markedly worse on the Legend. Now, keep in mind, I also have this ranked number 1 overall. Merrill is not saying it's a bad metal detector. No, it's a good metal detector. But one of the things that perhaps Nokta is tweaking and hopefully fixing through updates is when there's a object that's far down in the ground, it's very different than when you pull it to the surface. That's the case with other detectors, but I'm noticing it even more with the Legend. So keep that in mind. What does the Nokta Makro Legend manual have to say about target ID? One, it is important to remember that it is a scale from 1 to 60 on the Nokta Makro Legend. And 1 through 11 seems to be rejected from the start, unless if you go in all metal mode. And the majority of this is going to be iron. Not all of it though, and I'm going to show you. Now there's a note over here when you are in field mode. So this is the start of field down here. It gives you a disclaimer that the ID resolution of IDs 11 through 15 is different in park versus field mode. We will be doing most of the testing in this video in park mode. So it says you may get a different ID in each mode for targets that fall within the 11 to 15 range, so that's important. Page 10 of the manual has some other interesting points. For instance, in some cases, the device may produce multiple IDs for the same target. In other words, the IDs may be jumpy. This may result from several factors: target orientation, depth, purity of the metal, corrosion, mineralization level of the soil, etc. Even the direction of the search coil swing may cause the device to generate multiple IDs. Well, let me give you a few examples. If you are doing a chain, target orientation, it's very different when a chain is balled up versus when a chain is spread out. So that's an example of target orientation. Depth, purity of the metal. So basically, if you have something that is mixed, like copper and gold, that's rose gold. Now, rose gold mixed together and melted together, that rings up, one way. But if you have copper next to gold or silver next to gold, it's going to be a conflict. You're going to have a high conductor next to a low conductor, and the high conductor is always going to win. Now, corrosion, bottle caps. Bottle caps are basically iron that is covered with wax. Once the wax is breached, hey, good luck with that. You're going to be getting stuff jumping around like crazy. But what exactly does a target ID scale from 1 to 60 mean? Different metals have different conductivities. And what does a metal detector measure? It measures conductivity. So what exactly is conductivity? Conductivity is a term that describes how easy electricity or electrons flow through a metal. Low conductivity means the metal is more resistant to electron flow. And if you listen to a metal detectorist talk, you will hear them speak of low tones, mid tones, and high tones. The Nokta Legend operates on a scale that can be divided into 3. So you got your low tones from 1 to 20, your mid tones from 20 to 40, and your high tones from 40 to 60. And all of that is based on conductivity. For instance, the high tones. Silver is a famously good high conductor. It rings up high. The numbers you usually get with silver, and I'll stress the word usually, you'll see what I mean later in the video, is high numbers, somewhere between 40 and 60. Same thing goes for copper. The properties of iron and what you need to know about it as a metal detectorist. Iron, on the other hand, is a lousy conductor of electricity. Look at this. All right, so the first set of numbers is iron, 1 through 10. They say in the book you're going to get iron objects. So for instance, this spoon, we have it 3 or 4. Other than that famous false that you get that makes you think it's silver or something else. Iron is the greatest actor on the target ID scale. It makes you think sometimes because you get a high pitch when you are on the edge of a piece of iron that it's a piece of silver. Makes you think that it's a high conductor. Listen again and listen for those high pitch tones in there with the low tones. Again, iron is a low tone, but it is deceptive when it's on the edge. You're getting single digits. Also, notice the iron scale and the conductive scale. You get a clue that it's iron. I would say that is a 4. Kids did a really good job. You might have heard of the halo effect that iron leaves in the ground. If you think about it, a new piece of iron kind of looks just like this, but it rusts. And that rust leaches into the ground. And it's that halo that tricks you into thinking that it is a piece of silver. It gets really, really tricky because it corrodes so much. Aluminum foil, iron, and gold. Now there is foil, and it actually says that in the manual. that usually something in the low tens, teens, that's going to be foil. No, not always. Dig it. But it's also important to remember that that is the start of the gold range. The Nokta Makro Legend Gold Range. All right. First of all, these guys did an amazing job with this. Everything looks absolutely correct. What I want to show you is you have the iron here, 1 through 10, 1 through 8. And look up here. This actually rang up at an 8. Meaning that it would be rejected out unless if you're in all metal mode or if you unnotch these numbers. And you have all of this gold. This is the gold range. And this is actually an interesting case study too. Case study, object with 2 different metals not melted together. 1 high tone and 1 mid tone. So we were talking about conductivity. And you'll notice that there is gold in this item right here. And there's also silver. So it's silver and gold. Gabby, do you want to tell why, when silver and gold is together, why something like this would ring up at 50?
It's probably because the silver is supposed to be a high number and gold is a middle. You
are making your dad so proud right now. You have no idea. You're absolutely correct. The higher conductor takes over. So if you have stuff that is mixed, like this ring, it's going to be the higher conductor that takes over. This rings up at a 50. So we're starting out with the gold because it's a lot more complex to describe this than coins. If you think about it, coins are cookie cutter. Basically, you get, circle. They're all the same size for the most part, unless if they erode, unless if they break down a little bit from being in the ground, exposed to the elements. But rings, they vary in thickness and in size and also in alloy. This is a strange one. This is 14K. Look at how high this rings up. 37. Proof that the size and density of the object matters. So before we do this absolute chunker of a ring, I want you to see something. So we have rings that I showed you that rang up at 18, 20, and 21. Let's actually put them together. So all 3 of them I'm going to put on the same finger just like they're connected. Okay, now watch what happens. We have a ring up in the 30s. So the chunkier that it gets, it becomes a higher conductor. These are all midtones. They're middle of the scale on conductivity. Gold in general is. But in terms of target ID, when you experiment with it, these ones that are low 20s or teens, when you put them together, it becomes a higher ring up. So when you have more massive amounts of gold, it's going to ring up higher, like it's copper. And I think that's the case with this one too. That was 37. There's also alloys of gold. When it's 14K, it's not pure. So that explains some of the higher ring ups. Rose gold in general is higher also. I'll show you that. Yeah, let me show you. So this oh, that's bright. So right at 49.50. And you have your gold range. If it's mixed with other metals, it could go up there. I asked the kiddos to get all of the gold out. And Here is your gold range. Remember, gold is one of the most alloyed materials in the world, and it could be mixed with copper. That's the case of rose gold, and other materials as well, other metal. So you have a very wide range that goes actually into the higher tones, believe it or not. So remember, the easiest way to remember all of this is the manual that we are selling from the website. It has everything broken down, whether it is coins, rings, you get it in this manual.
Monkey.
FYI, 24K rang up at 22. The chain is 24K. And the pendant is 24K. What is the target ID range of the highest frequency gold signals? I want to give you tips that can really help you. I would say in terms of volume, 14 to 30 is where I get the majority of my gold signals for this detector. In closing for the gold section, this shows you the percentages of gold. So for instance, 14K, which is the most common that I find, it's 58% gold, 30% silver, 11%, almost 12% copper. So again, you know by now, because there's no consistent size, no consistent shape, thickness, or alloy of gold, it varies. There's a whole section that's a gold section. In truth, it's not one ring up. And what further confuses you is, as you know, early on in this chart, 10 to 20, you're going to get aluminum, various shapes. You might even get aluminum higher than that. And then there's these things. Oh my goodness. Metal Detectorists absolutely love these. Let's take a look. That's so bright. There we go. So in this confusing mid-tone range, there are a lot of pieces of garbage that can throw you off, and we haven't even gotten to Zinkins yet. The moral of this story is, if you get a solid mid-tone, you want to dig that. It might waste a minute of your life, but it is worth it when you find that gold. The VDI of silver jewelry. Teachable moment as we get into the silver section. Look very closely. What does that say there, Daniel?
25.
925, that's right.
There is no way that is a 9 before the 25.
That's a 9 before the 25, but look at this. All right, got the silver. Hey, that's not a high conductor like the rest of these. Yeah, we put a whole bunch of stuff on the board. That is
Metal. And iron.
well, 11 now.
What?
It's made of metal.
It's hollow. And that's the point that I'm trying to make. It's somewhere between 11 and 15. It's got a gap in the shape right here. We'll put it right in here. We could call it any one of those right there. For the most part, silver is a high conductor. It rings up high on the scale. Don't you agree?
Yes.
She agreed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And most of the silver rings that we have here, and yes, we will get into coins, are high conductors. So we have this, and the chunkier it seems, the higher. So just going down a little bit, this is our silver range.
Just call it thick. Thick is better.
Right, you're right. You like thick better than chunky?
Yeah.
That works. And we got some chains in here. Earrings, those might be hollow too. But again, the biggest teachable moment is this. Yeah, metal detecting, if anything you learn from these videos about target ID, it's to dig everything. That is, if it sounds good, you want to dig everything. When are you going to join me digging?
In 2 years and a half.
I can't wait. I cannot wait.
You can't wait 2 years?
What about you?
Don't know.
I'm
gonna test out the days too soon.
Oh, nice. I was going to say non-committal answer.
In our backyard.
Ooh, okay. I probably could have filled that section with the gap early on if I put my entire collection in there. The point of showing you that earring and showing you that it is silver, shape matters, hollowness, if it's hollow, thickness matters. So silver, just because it's silver, does not mean that it's an automatic high ring up. The target ID of pull tabs and bottle caps. Pull tabs. So we have a range 36 going all the way down to the bottom without the ring on it at 22. So we got a wide range there. I threw in some of the aluminum bottle caps that ring up to 46, 41 through 46. We're throwing some aluminum foil in here too. The other wild card is rusted bottle caps. Watch this. Up to 53. 1, 2. These, we could have chosen any one of these numbers, for that one. That's why we are limiting bottle caps to this. They rust and they could go anywhere in this range. You think they're silver, but remember, if you see numbers going around all over the place, it is probably a rusted bottle cap. When it is a new bottle cap covered with wax, it tends to be in this range, maybe 30 to 40. All right, quick peek. We did some skeleton keys and we did some bullets. And what's really interesting is that the bullets and musket balls, very consistent. 33, 34. Got smaller ones as you go down. And some of them were made of iron. And we got some bigger skeleton keys right here. The VDI of American Coins. Well, congratulations. You just made it to the coin section of this video. We are going to go over pretty much the target ID of all American coins. And the one we're going to start off with, I don't know if we could call a coin. It's a sacrilege. The Zinkin, or Zinc penny. All right, this is important for you to see. Zinc pennies. Okay, we only did a handful. I'm telling you, they could be anywhere in this entire range up to 41. Maybe 42. Some of these will flash 42. But look at this. This is a broken apart zinc penny, and you see it gets all bubbled. This is a shell of copper and a core of zinc. This is, I know it doesn't look like Abe Lincoln. This is what's left of Abe Lincoln. Ask any metal detectorist. This is what's left of a Zinkin. You think you're getting a ring. You got this solid ring up. Oh man, these are the wild cards of metal detecting. I'm telling you. The target ID of memorial pennies. All right, let's start out with pennies. And I pre-tested these, and it's interesting. I've actually gotten variants in the past with other detectors. This is very sensitive. Look at that. So far away. Variants, but with this, 45, that's one. Doing another one, 45, 45, 45, 46, 45, 45. Now, watch this penny. This was different last time. 46. So, for the most part, we're seeing a range, and that has been pretty consistent. Pennies go on the board 45 and 46, just regular non-wheat pennies. The target ID of wheat pennies. Now you might be thinking to yourself, wait a second, isn't a wheat cent the same as a regular copper penny? Not exactly. In fact, if you take a look at it, 1962, they switched. So 1947 to 1962, this was the composition. And 1962, they switched until 82, and then you get the copper-plated zinc, otherwise known as a zinken. But the reason I'm showing you this is you get a lot of variance in pennies. And I know the sound was brutal in the last section. Take my word for it, I'm going to just show you the end result, and just know that there's a lot of variance when it comes to pennies. Now we got a handful of wheat pennies. So let's try that. So on the board, we're going to go 43 to 47, just in general. That's the penny range. And remember, it's not going to be a perfect, consistent ring up, especially for pennies. So chalk it up. Our official Lincoln penny range is 42 to 47. That includes wheat cents all the way to zinkens, and that's a whole different story. Next, we're going to do Indian head pennies, and I got one flying eagle, so we will do that. Okay, so this is a 1863. This is what you call a fat Indian head. They were thicker until the Civil War in the 1860s. We'll call that 34. So fat Indian head 34. Indian head pennies, be prepared. You're going to see a wide range for them, and they're going to be lower than the memorial or wheat Abraham Lincoln pennies. All right, so we're taking a range of Indian heads here. $38. 32, we'll call that. 41. 38. 41. 36. 37. So we're going to put an Indian head penny everywhere from 32 to 41. And that's the general range. I need one more in here. Honestly, I have seen that with pennies in general. Pennies are less consistent than other coins. Nickels as well. But let's find that flying eagle. Let's test that. And let's put that other Indian head there. So we can officially say 32 to 41 is your Indian head penny range. Here is my one and only flying eagle. Let's see. We'll say 32. This could be mixed like the other ones, and I anticipate that it is. We'll say 32 for this one. All right, we got some large cents to do here, and a whole bunch. These are interesting as well. 50. 52. 54. 55. Oops. 50. 51. 53. 48. 53. All right, so we put it on the board 48 to 53. State coppers, Vermont, Connecticut, New Jersey. 48. 28, 47. So interestingly, despite the size difference, you got a penny ringing up at 47, you got a state copper ringing up at 47. Civil War token, used as a penny, 43. One of my all-time favorites, 2-cent piece. Interesting. Also 43. Yeah, that's a number you want to dig. All right, so we got regular nickels. Regular Jefferson nickels. 26, 25, 26, 26, 25, 25, 26, 25, 26, 23, 24. Call that 24. 22. So the nickel range is 22 to 27. We'll call that. And actually, we're going to throw out the 22 because look at this. This one is thinned out. When you get a coin that is, worn down, that was the 22. Correction, we're going to make it 23 to 26. Vast majority is 24, 25. All right, we're bringing out some nickel firepower here. Boom. All right, we're doing 5 buffalo nickels. 25. Call that 26. 25. 25. Very consistent with the other nickels. 25, 26. 5 V nickels. 22, and this is a full one. I would say not worn down on this one. 25, 25, 24, 24. 22 to 25, let's do. With other detectors, I have found a variance with V nickels. 22 to 25. All right, I think I've found 5 in my lifetime. This is 3 of them, 3 shield nickels. So let's take a look at that. 24, 23, 24. Call that a 23. 23, 24. Let's put it on the board. All right, so we got war nickels. These are partially silver. I believe 35% silver. I know there's only so much beeping that humans can take. So these are wild cards. Take a look at the target IDs of these. They range quite a bit, and the reason that they range quite a bit is silver was mixed in with them. And again, think of what I said about baking muffins. No matter how long you put them in the blender, you're going to have inconsistencies of flour, butter, eggs, and such. I don't even know what goes into muffins, but coins, there's various metals that go into coins. Sometimes one can get a little bit more of a certain type of metal, and of course the thickness of the coin, but really there's a wide range here with the silver war nickels. 26, and this is also a 1944. 25, 26, I saw a 31 in there, and I saw them in much higher. There's no such thing as a consistent ring up for a war nickel. All right, we got about 8 Clad dimes. These are just regular dimes, and they're very consistent. 45, 46, 45, 46, 46. Now, I know there's going to be one of you out here that's like, I don't believe you. You have to show me every single one. Let me spare you a little bit. This was completely consistent, okay? And I've seen this across other detectors. 45, 46. That is a modern Clad dime. Now, what's been interesting to me with this experiment is I am seeing a little bit of a difference with this. Target ID is not just Target ID. I'm learning from myself right now. But what we're going to do, we're going to choose, let's do some Roosevelt silver dimes. What I've noticed on machines like the Equinox is that they're slightly higher. So we had a 46, we should see maybe a 47, 48, or even higher. So let's choose a few silver Roosevelt dimes and see. That is true with Mercs and Roosevelt dimes, them being a little bit higher. So let's see if that's the case with this machine. All right, here we go. $47, yes, a little bit higher. $47, a little bit higher. $47, still a little bit higher. $47. So again, you could test this yourself if you wish, or take my word for it, instead of me wasting the next minute or so of your life listening to beeping. The Roosevelt dimes, they are slightly higher. So instead of a 45, 46, 47, flashing up to 48. All right, we have 7 Mercury dimes here. 47, yes, and that is, like I said, that's consistent with the Roosevelt dime. A little bit higher than the Clad dime. This one is 46. This is full though, so they can flashes up to 47, 46. That's an anomaly. 47, 47, 47. We'll call that 47 too. So we had one anomaly there, but for the most part, Mercs also have been 47. Oh, we forgot about one of my favorite pulls of all time. This is a half dime from 1840. Let's take a look. I'm filming the wrong thing. Switch hands, Merrill. Let's take a look. That's interesting. I didn't expect that. $42. Interesting. So the half dime goes at 42. And of course our buddy the Trime. I've actually been fortunate enough to find 3 in a lifetime, and I even mudlarked 1. But fishing them out of here is pretty tough. So we're going to use this as the Trime model, although this one is a little bit thin. 39. Basically, if it's solid, you dig it. We'll call it 39. Trime at 39.
Of course I found the other Trimes. We're thorough here.
Just for the heck of it, I found my other 2 Trimes. 32, let's see. Oh, geez. The other one was 39. 32. So look, this is the 39 one. Wow. And here's the third one. Okay, so that's more consistent. 2 of the 3 rang up 38, 39. So that's pretty consistent. All right, we got a handful of Barber dimes. Yeah, these ring up just like Pennies and Clad. 46, 45, 46, 45, 46. The moral of the story is you might think that you have a deep, regular penny, yet dig it. Yeah, we'll call that 45, 46. 45, 46. All right, seated dimes. I got a handful of seated dimes here. Let's see. They're very similar to Barber's. $46. This one's $43. This one is worn like crazy. This one's $43. This one's worn a bit too. $46, I would say, is the standard. This is one that's in good condition. $45, so you get some variance. Let's take a look at the condition of that one again. That's in close to perfect condition. So 45, 46, could be lower, 45. All right, we'll say 45, 46. And I'll tell you, the white whale that I am looking to get is the capped bust dime. I have never found one. So that's at the very top of my bucket list. Anything capped bust. Clad quarters. $51. $51. $51. $51. We'll call that 51. Washington silver quarter. $51. Usually that's a little bit higher. There we go. $52, $53. $51. $52, $53. Is it me or is that extra loud? Yeah, let's listen to that. That's interesting. 52. So let's listen to the sound of a Clad quarter now and see if there's a difference. Same distance. That's silver. That's a little louder. I don't know. I don't know if you could hear that in the video. It's going to get muffled in the ground, definitely, but it's relativity with depth. We'll call that 51, 52, 53. All right, next we're going to look at some Standing Liberty quarters. Let me grab a few. Give me a second. All right, Standing Liberty quarter. 50. Slightly worn. 51. 50. Not worn. 49.50. 50. So these ring up a little bit lower. So let's see. That's interesting. If anything, those were 49.50. Yeah, those were up to 53, 51, 52, 53. These would be 49.50, and the Clad quarter was at 51. Interesting. Barber quarter, I've only found two, and one is absolute toast. You see how thin that is? We're not even going to count that. 49. This one is in pretty good condition. It's pretty full. So very much like the SLQ, this was a little bit lower. All right, we brought our operation inside because it was getting windy out there. Last thing I want is one of these boards blowing. So, anywho, now we're going to do seated quarter. I've only found one. So we're going to call that a 51. All right, interesting one. Seated quarter. that I found in a recent video. That's different. 49.50. So let's actually put that right here. 50. All right, now we are going to do some half dollars. And I have found 3 Walking Liberty half dollars. I'm going to call that a 54. Let's test the others. That should be consistent. $54. This is a Kennedy 1965 half. It's not fully silver. 53. And I have 2 Franklin halves. 55. Interesting. 55. Okay. And we have 1 Barber half. 54. And we have 1 seeded half. 53. So I've never found a dollar coin. This is the same size as a dollar coin. This is actually a Indian coin, and I think it was a offering for anyway, let's see how it rings up. $59. Highest ring up of the day. This one, my friend Dogstar Blazer, Carlos, gave to me. It's unofficial, but again, this will give us a idea of what a Morgan sounds like. 59. Big silvers, 59. All right, I have found 8 Spanish real silvers, and I don't know if these are... This is probably the best specimen of the half reals. They are all pretty much paper thin. But let's see. 42. 45. 40. This is another real right here. 45. I believe that's a 1 real. These are 1 reals also. 45. Alright, so 1 reals, majority rang up at 45. Here is my one and only 2 real. 48. Guess who forgot about half cent? Call that 45.
All right, that's a video, folks, and don't forget that you could download the manual on my website. The cost is $10. I hope you could see how much work that I put into this, and everything gets reinvested in my channel. More metal detectors, more ratings, and more knowledge. We're going for knowledge here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It would mean a lot to me if you hit that subscribe button and that like button. Thank you so much.